What if the Buffalo Bills' biggest problem was never Josh Allen, but the team around him? With Joe Brady taking over, DJ Moore joining the offense, and James Cook rising fast, Buffalo suddenly looks dangerous again. But if that defense doesn't get fixed, even an MVP-level Josh Allen may be forced to carry the Bills with a Superman cape one more time.
We know the QB1 out in Buffalo, and that was one of the more surprising coaching changes we saw earlier this year. The AFC making a change there. Joe Brady replaces Sean McDermott. To me, Tyler, for as much as we've heard about this relationship between Joe and the quarterback, Josh Allen, how short is the leash? Like, how much success are you expecting early on here for Joe Brady? And at what point do you kind of make that choice? Like, was this the right decision?
Yeah, no, I think it's fair because it did feel like they were at the end of the season throwing the entire coaching staff under the bus in terms of Brandon Beane and Terry Pegula, the owner of the Buffalo Bills. And then all of a sudden they make like an internal hire and you're like, okay, this does feel a little weird. It did feel like they wanted a little bit more of a organizational reset, but they go with Joe Brady, who is the offensive coordinator under Sean McDermott. And I do wonder how much of this is actually going to change. Now, I don't think that this is going to mean anything bad for Josh Allen. I mean, when you have Joe Brady as his offensive coordinator, he's only been arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. The questions for me come on the defensive side of the ball. I have no concerns really about what they're going to be able to do on offense. You have James Cook, you have Josh Allen, you just went and acquired DJ Moore. So there is going to be some pieces on that offense. The question for me is defense. That has been what has been holding the Buffalo Bills back over the last couple of years, and especially last season. You could run all over the Buffalo Bills. Teams were making every other running back look like Saquon Barkley last season. So I do wonder how much, because again, you hired an offensive-minded head coach, how much is he going to be able to impact the defense? Because if all of a sudden Josh Allen has to throw it around the yard, he can, but we saw it last season specifically in that playoff run and that loss to the Denver Broncos. Josh Allen kind of pushed a little too much and was falling into a little bit of mistakes because he had to overcome that defense. That's going to be the question for Joe Brady. Not can you fix Josh Allen? He's already an MVP quarterback. Can you help fix that defense and bring it to a respectable level so you don't have to rely on Josh Allen to put on that Superman cape?
To me, it's the Bills. It's always the Bills because the Bills got Josh Allen. Bills got Josh Allen, and they don't have as much coaching turnover as you might think. Joe Brady, I get they have a new head coach, but he was the offensive coordinator that helped unlock MVP level Josh Allen, not Ken Dorsey. So I think the Bills are going to be upset they didn't win the division last year. The Bills are finally going to get a break for having not won the division. For those that are unfamiliar, both with the speakeasy and with how NFL schedules work, when you finish as the 2 seed in your division, you get to play the other 2 seeds in the AFC. When you finish as the 1 seed in your division, you are forced to play the other 1 seeds in the AFC. The Bills have won the division 6 or 7 years straight, so for every single year, they have to play the toughest schedule. Well, last year, given that they didn't win the division, now they get a break. Now, instead of having to run around and play the 1 seed in the AFC North, the 1 seed in the AFC South, the 1 seed in the AFC West, now they get to play the 2 seeds. You get to avoid some of those dominant teams of years past, of decades past. So I actually have more faith in the Bills. I got more faith in what Josh Allen has going on.
It's going to be tough for them. Now, on the flip side, we were talking about the Bills. Do you think the Bills can continue to be contenders as long as Josh Allen is there? And is this a situation now moving forward with this year? Josh Allen, is he out of excuses now?
I mean, excuses. I don't never give Josh Allen an excuse because he don't need them. But I think they're going to be solid. And then you bring DJ Moore over there.
Yeah.
I wish I could have got somebody a little better for that type of trade. But I think he's good enough. I think with Josh Allen there, they're going to do some special things. When Josh Allen got a true number 1, y'all stop playing around. Y'all know how he get down. Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is one of the best receivers in the league. But we didn't look at him like that when he got with Josh. Same thing with Josh. I think that was a great mixture. So when you bring a number 1 receiver over there to Buffalo, these are the results you get. You get an MVP. You get an all first team. You get all that with Josh Allen with a number 1 receiver. So, and then you add in the Cook. Cook is only getting better. I've been watching James Cook for a while, and every year he gets better and better and better. I think Buffalo is close to making that run that we all think they should eventually get, and that's the bowl. That's the bowl. When Pat can't win them all 1 year, go in there and get one of them things, Josh. You know what I'm saying?
1,000%.
Got to.
The question for me, and I agree with everything Shady's saying, but is DJ Moore enough? Like, is DJ Moore enough? Game on the line. It's 3rd and 4. The whole world knows we're going to you, DJ. Will you win?
Do the whole world know
Can
that?
you win?
Nah,
Because you can go Josh. You can go Josh, too.
You can go Josh. You can go Dalton Kincaid. You can
Not-
go
but
Khalil
I'm saying,
Shakir. Like
against the Houston Texans, is DJ Moore enough? Against Pat Surtain, is DJ? This is who we're talking about now. Is DJ Moore enough?
I don't think
against
the Bills
Christian
have a championship
Gonzalez,
roster.
Is DJ Moore enough?
I don't think the Bills have a championship roster. I don't think they've had a championship roster the past couple of years. They did, I think, 2022,
But they
2023.
didn't. But they didn't need one. They ain't need one. I think
No, you have a championship quarterback.
They need a receiver. They got one. DJ Moore might not be a top 8, top 10 receiver, but he's good enough to win with. He's a good receiver.
Yeah. Is he good enough to win it all with? Because that's the question.
think
Win with, you're right.
I think Josh is that good.
Yeah.
And all he needs is that next piece. I mean, look who he was throwing the ball to.
Yeah.
And I ain't disrespecting them dudes over there, but come on.
Either way, that young bull, he's not even young anymore. He got to step up eventually. Keon Coleman. I think the Bills will. He is the secret to the Buffalo.
He's
Bills.
not. No, he's not.
Shady. If Keon Coleman is irrelevant, Bills are
But
second.
what
round
has he
exit.
been for the first 3 years of his career?
And what have the Bills done?
Or the 2 years?
The Bills have been.
So now-
Bills are going to win.
I thought it was interesting. I read The Athletic, and they were ranking rosters. They have a roster composition, and it's an analytic formula based on I guess wins. And now rosters aren't even. Obviously you can have weak linebackers in Josh Allen, and you're going to rank very high. But the Bills rank third in terms of roster composition, in terms of quality of roster. Rams, Seahawks, I think it may have been Rams. Seahawks were up there, Philadelphia, but the Bills were ahead of the Eagles. Again, Josh Allen's, it's like having Ohtani in the lineup. He's worth like 3 players. Is it possible? I always heard Brandon Beane was a cap guy first, not as much a scout guy, but a cap guy. But I do think there are people in the NFL that get overvalued or undervalued. I think we've gotten to a point with Brandon Beane, because they haven't won a championship, he just gets smacked, and he's a little defensive. He's had a couple of missteps with the media. But I told somebody the other day, I said, if I told you that a team was elite at quarterback, running back, left tackle, tight end, and made a really good wide receiver acquisition in the offseason, you'd be like, oh, that's a pretty well-run unit. And I'm like, well, that's Brandon Beane in Buffalo. So I think they're the second or the third best team in the league. What do you make of the Brandon Beane? And I thought they had a pretty good draft. They got an edge rusher, which they needed. They did a lot of defense. They got a wide receiver from UConn, who I actually watched a few times. I thought he was really clever. I thought it was a really clever, 4th-round pick. How do you view Buffalo, macro level, and Brandon Beane?
Well, I think he became polarizing because anytime the coach gets fired, and it felt like it was a package deal with the GM and the coach. Remember, they came together from Carolina.
That's right.
They had worked hand in hand. Obviously, they had butted heads over the years, I'm sure, personnel-wise. It feels like a backstabbing. I think famously John Harbaugh, when he was introduced with the Giants, never brought up Eric DeCosta's name. And I just think sometimes those relationships can be unique. Usually one guy sits with the owner during the game while the other guy's on the field. And the Bills have had, the most devastating losses in the history of sports over the course of 30, 40 years. Clearly he's pretty good. And I always defended Sean McDermott. He wasn't perfect, but his resume speaks for itself. That franchise was dead. And, I think the defense consistently let him down. He was a defensive guy, and that's why he got ultimately, I think they turned on him, right? Because if you told me Sean McDermott was an offensive guy, I think he'd probably still be there. But it's like your background is defense, so it was easy to point out. Listen, they've invested in some players over the years, and it's backfired. They paid Von Miller a lot of money.
I didn't like that move
every team.
At all.
Because remember, the Rams trade for him, and then he has a sack every game in the playoffs in the Super Bowl, and then they gave him 50, and it blew up in their face. But they've also made a lot of good moves. I mean, Shakir is an excellent player. Cook in the second round is one of the best running backs in the league. The tight ends are good. To me, a Josh Allen type move is, do you get a contract for life as a GM when you're part of the unit that trades up to land him at 7? Remember, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield went off the board before Josh Allen. So it's not like they drafted him 2 overall. So I think he's pretty good. I think sometimes listen, the NFL, all these people can be a little insecure, and he's pretty tied in with the media, and he has some media friends. So I think you can hear negative things said about him, but there's no disputing I'm going to pick them probably win the Super Bowl. So they do a really, really good job. When you have a quarterback that's that good, though, it's just hard to get the credit when we watch your team and go, whenever they beat the Ravens over the course of the last couple of years, our takeaway was always like, Ravens had way better players. How'd they pull that off? It was Josh. And I think anytime you're in that scenario, it's hard to get credit as a GM. Like with the Eagles, sometimes they win despite the quarterback, right? And that's where he gets a lot of credit. You watch John Schneider, the team he built over the last 3 or 4 years, elite impact player at like every position. You watch the Bills sometimes, you're like, how many players would teams do everything possible? How many guys on their team, if you remove Josh, would teams trade a first rounder to acquire? And I think if we played that game, there'd be a lot of guys on a lot of the good teams. There wouldn't be. Look at the Chiefs. They get rid of Ty McDuffie, boom, first rounder. How many players on the Bills, not named Josh Allen, would Sean McVay and Les Snead have traded pick 29 to acquire?
Deion Dawkins at left tackle, maybe.
Older now, though, and
maybe the tight end, Dalton Kincaid.
A couple years ago, maybe Cook. You put Cook on their team, they would be pretty good. But not that many guys on defense. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.